welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video. This video has been like the most requested video I've ever had in my YouTube career, and that is for a second video on my experience with ulcerative colitis. I know this doesn't pertain to all of you, so I'm very sorry, but I do know that there's a majority of people out there who are following me who follow me because I have ulcerative colitis. You guys have asked me to do another video about it, and I've kind of just like put it on the back burner for a while, and I apologize. I am in the middle of a flare-up right now. Actually, I think that it's coming to somewhat of an end. I mean, it's like bearable now. I can deal with it. So I thought, what better time than to make a video. So what ended up happening was that I have the flu. I had the flu, I guess. I feel like I sound sick still. And also, sorry, but there's a cut on my lip. It's just from, I don't know. Honestly, it's just from the weather. Like, it's being really dry. And then, yeah, it's cut. Like, my lip, it hurts. But anyway, sorry. But if you notice that, it's disgusting. And then also, I'm sick. I have the flu. And then the flu always turns into a flare, for me at least. Right when I start to feel like I have like flu symptoms, I'm just like, crap, I know that something's coming with my colitis. I chose to film this video too with no makeup on and in a sweatshirt because this is what colitis makes me like. I just took a nap for hours because I'm always tired, and that's, you know, a side effect to the disease. You're just always so tired. Just like fatigue just wears you down. So I just took a nap for a couple hours and like woke up and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna film this video because this is like truly me. It's like I have the flu, I think, because, well, I live in New York City, so it's cold and there's a lot of germs here, but also my immune system sucks because of having colitis and because of the medicines that I'm on and stuff like that. My immune system is depleted, so it sucks. Like, so this is me just getting up from a nap and looking like this with no makeup, and yeah, just the flu and just ugh. So anyways, in my last video, which I'll link it down below, that like more so describes like how I was diagnosed and all that stuff, but just like a really brief thing on that. I was diagnosed when I was 24 years old. Supposedly you're born with colitis, so you have it your entire life. However, you don't have a flare-up until, they say, more so in your mid-20s. That's like typically the age, but I'm a part of like a lot of colitis groups, and I know people who have children that are 3 who have colitis. So I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of like one of those things. So it's an autoimmune disease, for those that are watching and don't know. So it's an autoimmune disease. My parents did not know I had colitis. It's not like they, you know, gave birth to me and then it's like, oh, your baby has, you know, colitis. It's just that I was perfectly healthy. I did have colitis, but it's nothing that we could have known unless, I guess, I had a colonoscopy. But you usually don't have to get colonoscopies until you're like in your 50s, and that's like if you're healthy digestively. And so I obviously wasn't, and I had what I didn't know was going on when I was 24. I had no idea. I thought I had a really bad case of food poisoning. I don't know. So that was like my first colonoscopy, and then that ultimately diagnosed what I had. So yeah, so you are born with colitis. It's just like you're never really gonna know that you have it until you have a problem with it. I just lived this life of just dealing with migraines. That was like pretty much my only like medical thing, is that I have really bad migraines, and then really bad anxiety. And then that's pretty much the extent of like the problems that I had medically until my colitis started to show itself. So yeah, there were some weird things happening though. Like I said, I did get diagnosed at 24, but I can name a couple times like before that year where really weird things would happen, like digestively, that I couldn't explain. I was like, hey, well, I'm not sick, you know, like I just didn't know why that was happening. I just like controlled it. I just like drank Imodium, which is something that helps you stop going to the bathroom, for those that don't know. You can get it just at the pharmacy. So yeah, so weird things like that would happen before I actually got diagnosed, and I would just like take Imodium and like drink a lot of water and be like, oh, like it's just a bug or something, you know. So I can name like a handful of times where weird things happened, but I was able to just like control it on my own and not have to go to a hospital or anything like that. So when I was 24, it was really, really bad. I was in the hospital actually for 11 nights and 12 days. So it was a really, really bad flare-up. So yeah, that's how I ultimately found out that I'm the lucky one to have ulcerative colitis in my family. No one else has this. My family does have like irritable bowel problems. However, I've been told that they're not necessarily related to colitis. So because my mom has like irritable bowel problems, that doesn't mean that she was going to have a child with colitis. There's no like connection with that at all. So it can just come as like super bad luck, or I've heard that it can be genetic, which sucks because I do not want to pass this on, God forbid. But yeah, anyway, so no one in my family has ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease or anything like that. My grandpa did have colon cancer, which he ended up beating, and that was years ago. But I don't know, there's really nothing, like I've told the doctors my whole family history, and they say that as far as I know of my family history, that I didn't get this from anyone in my family, that I didn't get it genetically. I just got it, and what I say is out of pure sheer bad luck. So I guess I'll just explain my most recent flare-up for you guys. So I had the flu, and then I knew something was coming with my stomach, so I was being super careful and everything, and then yeah, no, it just wasn't gonna happen. So it just, you know, running to the bathroom, all that kind of stuff. And for those of you who don't have this disease and you're watching this, like, just it's gross. So yeah, so running to the bathroom probably for like 4 days straight before I actually went into the hospital. So I went to the bathroom probably around 10 times for 4 days every day. So like 40 times total, you know, like probably around 50 times, I would say, I was going to the bathroom and stuff. And so then I just woke up one morning a couple days ago. I don't even know what day it was. I think it was Wednesday, but I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, and it was almost as if like colitis woke me up. It was just debilitating pain. It's just so painful. I've talked to someone who has it, and they've compared it to childbirth. So yeah, it was so painful, and oh my God, I knew that nothing was going to relieve it. There's certain pain that you can have where you're like, okay, like if I just go to the bathroom, my stomach won't hurt anymore. That's probably what needs to happen, you know? But that's not colitis pain. Colitis pain is like, you know deep down in your soul, you're like, nothing's gonna rid of this. Like, no matter what I do is going to make things better. So I knew, like, oh my God, in my heart of hearts, I knew what was going on. And so I went to the hospital, and they immediately treated me, helped me, and my heart rate was really up. I have high blood pressure. Well, I'm on my way to having high blood pressure, but yeah, I do have like a pretty high heart rate. So they hooked me up to, you know, an EKG. They did all that, everything. And then of course it's just like constantly being poked with needles, constantly. I didn't want to do a CT scan because I've already done one twice within the last 9 months, and that's a lot of radiation. So, you know, patients have rights, and so I went against that. I know what's happening. I know that I feel like I know that I can cure this. If I felt like deep down that this was something that was really out of my control, then I would have had them give me a CT scan, and then we could go from there. But I knew that this was just like a regular flare-up. I know that they just have to like give me the medicine that I need while I'm there, and then I can go home and then pretty much treat it myself. So sometimes just during what I say is like a regular flare-up, which is just like a generic flare-up. I don't know, where my stomach hurts and I'm used to it, and it's just like kind of like the low-grade flare-up. And I know that that was what was going on. So I refused to have a CT scan because personally I don't want that much radiation, because I know that that can affect like a lot of other things, just open a whole new can of worms, and I didn't want to do that. So I told them no. And yeah, I mean, right now I'm doing fine. Like, I've stopped running to the bathroom. I just keep myself super hydrated. I have a water bottle in my hand right now. I go through like 10 of these all the time. I actually have like an actual water bottle that like I refill and stuff usually, but it's over in the kitchen. But that's usually what I carry around. I just try to keep myself super hydrated. I try to avoid things that would cause a flare-up food-wise. I just try to really stick to like the brat diet almost. I mean, like rice is really, really good. Soup, all that stuff. Fish is super good because it's really easy to digest. Just depends on like how it's seasoned, of course, and all of that. Ever since I've gotten home from the hospital, which I was only there for a few hours, I've just been trying to like control it myself, and I think that I've done kind of an okay job. Who knows though, in a few days it could get worse, so we'll see where it goes. But having this disease is definitely the worst thing that's ever happened in my life, and I know that there's so many other diseases out there that are so much worse that people are dealing with. And I'm not by any means saying that what I go through or my thing is like worse than like you have no idea, no one knows. Like, no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not like diminishing anybody else's sickness. I'm just talking from my experience. I can only speak for myself and for what I've experienced. And in my lifetime, from what I've experienced, ulcerative colitis has been the worst thing that's happened to me. Just dealing with it is just like, I almost feel like it's more than like having a child or something, which I wouldn't know because I don't have a child, but it's just like, it's just so much. You're constantly having to keep up with it 24 hours a day, just like thinking about like taking care of it 24/7. And so it's just a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. And of course there's just that like looming thought of like, I don't know if, you know, I'm going to be able to have kids with this, or if I'm going to be able to have like healthy pregnancies. That's kind of really been getting me down a lot lately. I'm 29 years old now, and when I was home for Christmas, like my sister and I were talking about grandkids with my dad, and we're like, oh, would you want grandkids? And he was like, yeah, of course I want grandkids. You know, and it, you know, put definitely like a heavy like pain on my heart, 'cause I don't know if he's gonna like get that from me. And then also my mom was playing with my best friend's baby, like, you know, total grandma mode, like playing with her, really cute, like she just fell in love with her. And so yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot. I'm like, okay, it's getting to that point where I'm like at that age that I would be thinking about children. Of course, if I was in like a steady relationship, which I'm not, I just get to that point where I start thinking about it, and I'm like, God, hopefully I can just have like a good pregnancy or something, you know. And I don't know, I mean, I'm gonna have to talk to the doctors about that and stuff. I do know that I probably would be like a higher risk pregnancy, but yeah, so I have no idea. So just starting to think about how it like really is affecting my life. I mean, it's one thing that, you know, I can't like go out with my friends sometimes. I always have like, I always am ditching plans. I know that sucks, but I'm always ditching plans. I'm always nervous when I make like flight arrangements to go home or anything like that. I'm like, crap, what if something happens? Every time I even make an arrangement to go on a trip, I just have to think about that. I have to prep for that. I have to pack just for colitis. Like, I mean, it sucks. It really, really sucks. I like I fight back tears every day talking and thinking about colitis. So my last video, you guys had commented a lot of stuff on there, and some of you asked questions, so I'll just answer those. One of them says, what medication are you on? I'm terrified of the side effects of medication. Me too. So I am like very, very, very scared of the medication that is supposed to help this. When I initially got colitis when I was 24, and you know, that was when I was in the hospital for 11 days, all that stuff. They gave me so many steroids, and I went home with like a ton. I think there's a picture that I posted on my Instagram, like way long. I mean, obviously like right when I first got it, and it was like all these steroids, just like a ton of them. And that made me feel worse than the actual pain of colitis. Like colitis makes you tired, yeah, and it makes you have like a really sharp knife stabbing pain all the time, and it makes you run to the bathroom, all that stuff. But what steroids do to you is like makes you feel like you have been hit by a truck. I don't even know how to describe how terrible like steroids at least make me feel. So technically I'm a moderate case, so I don't have like an extreme case of ulcerative colitis. I still have my entire GI tract. I have not gotten any of that surgically removed, even though I have had some surgeries and some things in my colon removed. I haven't had any of my GI tract removed. So I'm actually like the luckier one when it comes to having UC. So for me, there's been options before where I would have so many flare-ups that they would say like, okay, do you want to go on this medication? It's like prednisone or something, or do you want to go on this medication? And it's these steroids, and do you want to try them just for like a little bit and blah, blah. And I always say no. And the answer that I always say, the doctors are like, hate me saying it because they're like, but I'm always like, I'd rather have this disease kill me than to go on steroids, because I just feel like you don't have any quality of life. I mean, it's one thing to once in a while cancel plans. Well, it's not really once in a while, it's quite frequently, to cancel plans to go out or something to a dinner because you're having colitis pain or something. But it's one thing then to like never be able to hold a job because you feel like actual shit from the steroids, you know, so you can't get up in the morning, all that. It's like there's no quality of life for that. So I'd much rather just deal with the colitis, which I know I said it is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, but I'd rather deal with that than to deal with being on steroids, let alone the side effect of steroids. I mean, if I'm on steroids, like if I were on steroids right now, instead of having the flu, I'd probably have pneumonia, you know, so it just depletes your immune system even more than colitis does. So the medications that I'm on is I'm on a probiotic, which I'm not even going to tell you which one it is because I'm going to switch it out. So, and not because it's not good, but I know that there's like better ones out there, they've said. So, I take probiotic every single morning. I also take vitamins, and vitamin C every single morning. I don't know if that like matters. And then at night I take something called nortriptyline, which is technically an antidepressant. But if you take it at like a certain dosage, it doesn't give you the antidepressant effects. It helps your GI tract instead, which is really weird. So I guess they made this antidepressant and then realized that it actually was really good for your GI tract. So that was like one of the benefits of the medicine. I don't know. I don't think they were aiming to make it like that, but it just so happened that this antidepressant happens to help your GI tract. So at a certain dosage, it's been helping my GI tract, but I do not get the effects of it of an antidepressant, if that makes sense. I take mesalamine, which is a very, very, very high anti-inflammatory. I hit and miss take that because one of my GI doctors back home was saying like, oh, okay, hang on just a second. Someone's ringing my doorbell. Okay, sorry about that. I ordered a juice and the guy clearly didn't know what apartment I lived in because he kept ringing the freaking doorbell to get into the building a million times. So anyways, I was taking 800 milligrams of that 3 times a day, and then my doctor told me that I could kind of like wean off of it a little bit, and wean off of it and then eventually just like not take it until I'm like in another flare-up. So that's what I did. I just like weaned myself off, and then I started taking it like again when I felt like I was in a flare-up. Actually right now I haven't taken any. I probably should. But yeah, so mesalamine as an anti-inflammatory. So for the past like year or so, that's just what I've been taking, are those two things, is mesalamine and nortriptyline. So I know that sounds like nothing. It really is. Like I said, I'm very, very lucky, and I have moderate colitis, and technically I've been out of a flare for the past year, so, or for the past like year and a half really. So that's all I was on, and it was controlling it for the most part. But yeah, now I'm doing this again, and so of course like every time I get a flare, they'll just like come up with all these ideas of like medicines to give you and all that. And it's like I don't really want to do any of that unless I like absolutely have to, unless it's life or death to take steroids. But honestly, in my mind, I feel like I don't know, there's just no quality of life for me with taking steroids. But I know steroids really, really help other people, but for as long as I can get away with it, I'm not going to take them. Okay, another question you guys asked is about my relationships and colitis. So I don't even know how to like answer that. So when I initially got sick with my first flare-up when I was 24, I was with someone that I became engaged to like later on that year. Actually like 3 months later, he proposed to me. So he was with me throughout the whole thing. So we both like, I had no idea what ulcerative colitis was. I didn't know it existed. Neither did he. So we both like learned about it and whatever. And I mean, at that point we were already living together. So he was like already in it, you know, he was already committed to me. So, he'd probably already bought the ring too. So he was already in it, and so we just kind of like dealt with it. But it sucked. I would say like a huge part of us eventually breaking up was because of colitis, just because it was so new to me. I was terrified. I was like deathly afraid to leave a house sometimes, like in case I got a flare up. Like, I mean, I just really went through a lot of things, like up and down emotional roller coaster of like depression and then like all that when I got diagnosed. So yeah, it was a really big part of our life from that point on, really. I mean, we only got like a good, God, I don't know, 8 months together before I got sick. So yeah, and then everything changed. So, and it was all me that changed. It was my whole attitude on life, like everything. So yeah, it just, everything changed. And I guess, yeah, it has to do with us now not being together anymore. It's not the entire reason, but it did definitely put a damper in our relationship. I'm not saying that he wasn't good with it. He was so good with taking care of me. He was my nurse. He knew all of my medications inside out, even when I was on steroids. Like, he knew everything. He knew what time I took them, what dose I took them at. I mean, everything. I don't know how I would have ever come this far if it weren't for him. So he was so great with dealing with it. It was just like, in the long run, I just was being unfair to him and being like keeping him in the relationship when I was really dealing with this and dealing with, I had depression and because of it and all that stuff. I mean, yeah. So anyways, it is like a reason why we ultimately did break up. But like I said, it's not the whole reason. And you guys have also asked me, like, when you're dating, like, at what point do you tell them that you have it? I just tell them whenever it comes up, honestly. And then I kind of feel out the situation too. Like, if it's a person who I'm just like dating and I know that if they knew anything about it, that they would be that guy who's like, ugh, like super grossed out, then that's not the guy for me. That's not the guy that I need to be with. But other than that, I just say it when it comes up. Like, if something, I don't know how it would come up. But yeah, if we're talking about being sick or anything like that, or like, I don't know, going to the bathroom, like, just for some reason, if it comes up, whatever. There was a guy who I was dating. I forget what the situation was, but we were somewhere and he was like, he like turned to me and was like, okay, I like really have to go to the bathroom. Like, we need to find a bathroom or something like that. And then it kind of came up. So I was like, I understand. Like, I have this thing called blah, blah, blah. And I know what it's like to really need to go to the bathroom. So yeah, so if it comes up like casually, of course, that's when I'll say it. But like tonight I'm going on a date, a first date actually. And like, I'm not going to tell him. But I mean, maybe if it continues on, I would say like past like the second date. I wouldn't say past the third date, because I think that might even be a little too far. Past the second date. At that point, if you've kind of like got a feel for him and stuff and you think that he's going to be okay with it, and like cool with talking about it or something, then I'll like kind of bring it up. But it usually naturally gets brought up when talking about food. Oh my God. Anyway, so I'm going to end this video. I will definitely post more. Ask me more questions, because sometimes I don't really know what to talk about. Like, I'm very willing to answer your guys' questions. But besides talking about like my experience with it and how I got diagnosed, I don't really know what else to talk about. So yeah, just ask me any questions you would like and I will always answer them. I'll always be here for support too if you guys have IBD or any type of illness that's chronic, meaning that it will never go away no matter what you do. I'm always, always, always here to talk to you if need be. So yeah, I don't want anybody out there like suffering with this alone. I can't even tell you how many times I felt like I was alone in this. And it's just not a good feeling. I mean, I feel like that all the time, I guess, just because my like family doesn't have it. So it's like I can't really explain to my parents. Anyways, yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye!